Hey guys, how are you? It's Grant with AnglingAuthority.com. We're just wrapping up our trip to Florida, and we're in the hotel room the night before we fly out, and I wanted to show you guys what baits we used during our trip. Now, we fished Okeechobee, Lake Toho, and Lake Istapoga, and we had some great success. We caught some massive pigs, and we wanted to show you guys what baits we used to be successful. We're going to show you why we used them, how we used them, and what sizes we used, so you can be successful on your trip to Florida as well. First, we're going to cover search baits. For search baits, we recommend a spinner bait. Key colors to bring: white or a shiner imitation. For blades, you can bring willow blades in silver or gold, will work fine. Or if you choose, you can bring a Colorado blade. Now keep in mind, because of the amount of weeds, the Colorado blade will get caught. So you would only use the Colorado blades in situations where there's sparse weeds. The Colorado blade has an advantage in that it will let out more thump in the tea-stained water, and bass will be able to find it easier. The willow blade will have an advantage in that because of its slender profile, it'll be able to be pulled through the weeds easier without getting caught. As for the bladed jig, we recommend a white or a shiner imitation. You can use a gold blade to imitate shiners better, or you can use a silver blade. We found that it really didn't matter. As far as weight goes, you can use a 1/2 ounce or a 3/8 ounce. As for the bladed jig trailer, we recommend the Gambler Lures Easy Swimmer. It has a great paddle tail, and it creates a lot of thump as it swims through the water, and that'll attract the bass in the tea-stained water. We've covered search baits, so now I'm going to talk about in-close baits, and these are pitching baits. When we were pitching, we were looking for pockets, points, and transition points where different types of weeds would meet. These are the places where the bass would hang out and ambush their prey. So what we were doing is using very heavy line, a very fast reel, and a nice stout pitching rod. The most important bait that I want to show you guys is the jig. Now, we caught a lot of fish on the jig. We used a heavy 1 ounce jig almost exclusively with a good stout brush guard, a nice stout hook, and you've got to make sure you have rattles. This is a key success factor for using the jig in these very stained waters. Now, what we used as a trailer is we used blue, green pumpkin, Mega Daddy craw. And what we did is we took the craw and we twisted off the segmented tail, and we took it and we put it on our jig. So we ended up with something like this. Has a huge profile and moves a lot of water. When we flipped it in there, pitched it in there, the bass, you could see them turn and they would pick it up, and that's when you'd set the hook. The next bait that we used for pitching was a little bit smaller. We threw the Little Otter and the Floppy Daddy. And the way we rigged it was we used a Hack Attack straight shank flipping hook. Now, these hooks are great because they're nice and stout and they have a bait keeper on them. We used a snell knot with a Gambler Lures brass rattling weight. Alternatively, if you don't have a rattling weight, I guess you could throw it on a 3/4 ounce tungsten weight. The third bait that we used to pitch into cover was a Gambler Lures Fat Ace. Now, we used a 5-inch version. We also used a different stick bait, which is a little bit bigger, which is a Yum Dinger. We also used a Berkeley 10-inch power worm. Now, this has a swimming tail, which also helped us catch some fish. Now, depending on the size of the bait, you want to use a different hook. For the Yum Dinger, we used a hook that's an 11/0. Very important. Remember, gotta have rattles. So again, we used the Gambler Lures brass rattling weight. I wanted to end the video on 3 key factors that made us successful during our week to Florida. Number 1 is noise. If you're planning on using a jig, definitely bring a lot of jig rattles. If you're planning on Texas rigging your baits, definitely you want to bring a lot of rattling weights. These bass are keying in on sound, and that is what they use to help them find your bait and attack it. So definitely remember, noise is a key factor. Number 2, go big. These bass are double-digit bass. They have huge mouths, and they're actually going to look for the biggest bait they can find, and that's how you get the big girls. So don't be scared to go big. Bring the big craws, bring the 10-inch power worms, bring the big baits for these bass. Because remember, these are trophy bass. Third thing I want you guys to remember is color. Now, bring colors that these bass see as food. So colors such as Okeechobee craw, black, blue, black with flake, blue with flake. Those are the colors that are going to be successful in Florida. Just remember these 3 factors and you guys will have a great week down here.